Islamophobia is fear from Islam or hate against Muslims. This fear stems majorly from radical terrorist organizations that have been acting brutally in the name of Islam and some ruthless practices seen widely in the Islamic world. These practices include suicide bombing, oppression against women, forced conversions, blasphemy, child marriages, low quality and backwardness in science and technology. These all constitute a generally negative perception of Islam which is against the humanistic and modern democratic notions of Western society. Because of this negative perception of Islam, Muslim minorities living in Western countries are usually discriminated and frequently subjected to verbal abuse and physical assaults which often result in their murder. Now, with all these qualities that come to mind when a person in the West thinks of Muslims and Islam, one cannot but dislike such a religion, and no respect for any adherent or propagator would remain in the eyes of people. And that is also why provocative people in the West make fun of Muslims' beloved Prophet Muhammad. But is it really the case that Islam, which is known as a peaceful religion, propagates such ruthlessness and backwardness? One main problem that both Muslims and Western countries fell into is learning about Islam from the actions of people than from its genuine source. Majority of them just know Islam from the mouths of people or superstitious traditions accepted as part of Islam and never study the authentic source. That is why they are unable to defend themselves against the misinformation prevalent in the Western world. The authentic and the only valid source for understanding what Islam really preaches is Quran alone. What Muslims do is take a secondary source of Islam, also known as hadiths, above the Quran, and they try to understand and interpret Quranic verses in the light of those hadiths which were gathered by Muslim scholars 3 centuries later when neither Prophet nor his companions were alive. Majority of these hadiths go against the teachings of the Quran and are cruel, ruthless, misogynist, oppressive, anti-Semitic and propagate every ill that cannot be accepted by logic, reason and conscience. These fabrications are given the same value as the verses of the Quran by the Muslim scholars and are considered as part of Islam and are practiced throughout the Islamic world without even ever reflecting upon its authenticity. These fabricated hadiths are slanders against Prophet Muhammad, whose good morality and great character is praised by God himself. Majority of Muslims who like to be modern, stylish and have secular minds alienate themselves from religion but have to silently accept these fabricated hadiths merely out of respect that these words are of Prophet Muhammad, which they actually are not. The Muslim world has so wholeheartedly accepted the hadiths that any person rejecting them is immediately considered a disbeliever and punished or executed, and the verdict for that again comes from these fabricated hadiths. On one hand, these fabrications and distorted interpretations based on them are causing Islamophobia, and on the other hand, certain groups hostile to Islam are using them to depict all Muslims as terrorists, and therefore legitimizing their slaughter. Hypocrites who have no connection with Islam are paid to carry out attacks in the name of religion, so people lose every sympathy they have for Muslims, and media is extensively used to further anti-Islamic campaigns. State leaders are also using hate against Islam as a way to gain more votes. This in turn makes a general population hateful of Muslims, as a result of which even the most peaceful Muslims are seen as a threat. The responsibility of correcting this misconception about religions falls on Muslims themselves. And the only way out they have is the Quran itself. Quran encourages freedom, tolerance, forgiveness, justice, brotherhood, and scientific advancement. Quran is completely opposite to bigotry practiced in Muslim world. It strongly condemns the killing of innocent people and urges people of conscience to struggle to save oppressed ones. It encourages freedom of thought, democracy, secularism, modernity, respect, tolerance, brotherhood, art, science and technology. In short, everything reasonable and good for the society is promoted by the Quran. If Muslims had practiced true Islam of the Quran, they would have become exemplary in upholding morality, human rights, women's rights, freedom, art, beauty, and they would have been highly advanced in science and technology. A society based on the teachings of the Quran would be a society with no poverty, injustice and inhuman treatment. Everyone, regardless of their faith, color or state, would be in peace, joy, abundance, and everyone would be taking care of others as their own family members. Such a long-dreamed Muslim society would not be feared from or frowned upon. It would be readily accepted by everyone in the West and East, and the world will dramatically and positively change with the positive changes in the Islamic world. And it is only possible if Muslims return back to the actual teachings of the Quran and purify Islam from radicalism that has damaged the reputation of Islam worldwide. It is an urgent duty incumbent on Muslims to tell the difference between bigotry and true Islam to the Western world. Muslims should carry out a wide-ranging educational campaign that replaces radical indoctrination with the true enlightened Quranic perception of Islam. Meanwhile, Muslim states must fully abide by the morality of the Quran and show the world with their modern, tolerant, compassionate, democratic, scientific and civilized lifestyle the positivity Islam brings about in a society. And the Western world can also help by teaching the difference between true Islam and radicalism, and to maintaining peace in the world, it should also introduce legal measures to curb Islamophobic activities and approach all faiths unbiased and equally with love and equal democratic values.